On tonight's episode, we are talking week 2 or wave 2, whatever you want to call it, of NFL free agency. We're going to look at the targets that Miami should take a shot at and how they help this team in just a sec. Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Anthony Penzone. Alongside me, I got my boy Josh, a.k.a. Aqua Ace, and we are here talking more Miami Dolphins football, specifically Miami Dolphins free agency, Josh, as we get ready for wave 2 of the free agency season. Comes up pretty much, it's a long wave. It's like now
Very
to the
much so.
draft.
Pretty much, yeah. But they used to break it into 3. Now it's just kind of, you have your initial big signings and then everyone else.
And I think wave 3, if you want to call it wave 3, is probably after June 1st, when all the teams get money for their post June 1st cuts. Yep. So there's a long ways to go for that. But we're going to talk about wave 2. We're going to talk about the guys we've signed already, and then we're going to talk about the guys we would like to see signed still. The pickings are pretty slim, so this might be a bit of a shorter episode. Spoiler alert for those of you out there who are used to our hour-long episodes. Probably not going to be the case for this one, but hey, why don't we get into it, man? We've signed a lot of people since the last time we talked to our wonderful chatters out there. Let's dive right in. So we signed an edge rusher, Robert Beal from San Francisco, and I'm just going to go through the list and we could cherry pick guys to talk about.
Sure.
Corner Darrell Baker from Tennessee Titans. Corner Alex Austin from the New England Patriots. Safety Lonnie Johnson from the Las Vegas Raiders. Offensive lineman, he plays guard and tackle, Jamari Salyer, something like that.
Salyer.
Mm-hmm. From the Chargers. This one I know. Tutu Atwell, the wide receiver from the Los Angeles Rams. Cornerback Marco Wilson. There's a trend here from the Cincinnati Bengals. That's the third corner, by the way. The second safety, Zane Anderson from the Green Bay Packers. Offensive tackle Charlie Heck, another 6'8" monster. He comes over from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hey, there's a long snapper sighting. Tucker Addington comes over from the Washington Commanders. And then we signed our new punter, Seth Vernon, from the Michigan Panthers. If you're not familiar with that team, you've never watched the UFL, which, by the way, starts March 27th if you're interested in watching.
Yeah, and Cam Smith is playing for one of the teams in there, if I'm not mistaken. Is he? I think so. It's either that or the Canadian Football League. I can't remember.
By the way, Ted Ginn Jr. is one of the coaches in this league. So I know Dirk will be glued to it.
Yuck. Okay. Wearing his creamsicle jersey. Ugh. And I think isn't Seth the one that's like 6'8" or something like that, 6'5"?
Yeah, I think Seth comes in at 6'5". Let me go to the website, by the way. If you go to the 305gridiron.com/transactions, all of that information is right there on the site. Seth is 6'5". Yeah,
that's crazy.
So, he averaged 45.4 yards per punt in the UFL last year. So not good, not bad. It's about average.
On par. It seems on par.
It's about average. He will have competition for sure. I mean, we saw Riley Patterson and Zane Gonzalez both get signed. I'd be shocked if we're going to sign 2 veteran NFL kickers and only 1 UFL punter to be in the competition. So we'll certainly see another punter get signed. Josh, I'm going to jump right in. I think the biggest name that stands out, and we forgot to mention wide receiver Jalen Tolbert as well. Gets signed over from the Cowboys.
He didn't quit. He was signed right before the date cutoff that I randomly imposed.
Okay.
But yes.
But Tutu Atwell is the one that sticks out to me on this list. I like Tutu playing over there for the Rams. I thought he played fairly well when he was put into a starter role. The game is not too big for him, but it is a little surprising because he fits that small mold that we kind of got used to with the Mike McDaniel era. We thought maybe they would kind of add a mixture of different heights and stuff like that. That didn't happen with this signing, at least.
No, look, I mean, Tutu Atwell we all know what he's going to do. He's going to go on the outside and he's going to run real fast in a straight line, which is awesome, right? Because, and that's what's good about Tutu Atwell is that he doesn't mind running decoy routes on a regular basis. Because if you look at his time in LA, he was known for clearing space for the middle of the field, right? Because people have to respect his speed. So I'll be real curious to see if he even makes the team, right? I'm assuming he will, but again, it was a 1-year contract. Same with Tolbert. Tolbert is that tall guy, the tall wide receiver. I think he's 6'2", if I'm not mistaken.
6'1", 6'2", he comes in
yeah.
right around there, yeah.
But yeah, man, Tutu could be. I mean, also worst case scenario could be a very good kick returner for us, right? Because he's fast as hell. The other guy, it's been a part of a lot of conversations, is Salyer, Jamari Salyer, guard tackle. He's not a starter.
Yeah,
I've seen fans all across social media saying, "Oh, we're good. He could be our right guard."
Why do fans do that, dude? We sign one player and they plug him in automatically to a starting spot. It's like, have you ever seen this guy play?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, this was the Larry Borom replacement, right? So I know Larry Borom started for us last year out of necessity, but Larry Borom was brought in to be that swing tackle, kind of utility knife, kind of OT6, OT7 kind of, or offensive lineman 6, offensive lineman 7 kind of player. So that's kind of where I see Salyer, but he's a decent player. Again, got him for a 1-year contract, so not expecting too much.
I mean, the great thing with him is he played 40 games over the last 4 seasons, and he's played at guard and tackle. So I think,
versatility
is a Borom Strange Brunskill replacement.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
And I think,
yeah.
And the other one that stands out, Charlie Heck, the offensive tackle, so some good and more offensive line depth. Again, another backup, player. But again, we mentioned or we will mention in our mock draft episode that we restructured Austin Jackson. We probably mentioned it last week too. Austin Jackson re-signed to a lesser deal. Assuming he comes back healthy, he's probably going to start at right tackle, at least for one more season, before we find a replacement. I think Heck and Salyer come in to replace Strange and Borom and Brunskill. And we'll probably draft an offensive lineman as well.
We better draft an offensive lineman of some sort.
What stands out the most to me about this list is that they're just backfilling a lot of our positions of need at this point. Just trying to get some depth on the roster at safety, at corner, at wide receiver, offensive line. All positions of great need at this point. Edge rusher. Before free agency started, we had one edge rusher on the roster, and that was Chop Robinson. Now we have Josh Uche, who we signed last week. We have Robert Beal Jr. coming over from the 49ers, who played minimal time, but in the time he did, he made some impact. He's a rotational guy.
Yeah, I think we have Joseph Asai too, right? Didn't we sign him from Baltimore?
And then, was it Joseph Asai? Oh, Jabi.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The names are hard to keep up with. I'll admit.
Too many. When we have 38 of them, it's hard to keep them all straight.
Yeah, I actually don't even think he's on the transaction list either, so I have to add him too. Yeah. Anybody else you want to talk about on this list? It's mostly depth players at this point, so there's not much to say.
That's not shade on these guys at all, but we don't need to talk about them anymore.
Let's actually talk about the website, the 305gridiron.com. If you head on over there, you can get the list of transactions. We're talking about who was signed, who was released, who was restructured, who was traded. Minka, the only one at this point. But we try to get the site updated as soon as we hear the news, if possible. We, of course, both work full-time jobs, so it's not always immediately possible. But we do our best to get them up there. It's a really great one-stop shop for all the moves we've made. It's honestly what I use because I can't keep, there's not a lot of sites out there that do a great job of keeping it all in one place. And that's what we wanted to kind of solve with this page.
I love it.
Let's move on to some free agents that we could or we want to see signed to the Dolphins. And I think you all will see a trend here of players who are filling pretty much the same positions of need that we just talked about. Josh, we kind of split them up here. We have a huge list, and then we have a list of our best bargains, and then we have a list of our best overall value. Do you want to just go through the best overall value, and then we can mention some other bargains at the position?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So number one on the list, we're talking about a big-bodied receiver, something that we've yet to sign. Jalen Tolbert, I just looked it up. He's 6 foot tall, by the way. So he's he's a little bit taller than what we currently have. But it would be nice to get somebody a little bit taller, a little bit more big-bodied, a little more physical, a possession kind of guy. And wide receiver Noah Brown sitting out there, formerly of the Commanders.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, everyone on the let's preface this list by saying understand where we are from a cap standpoint. None of these players, we selected these players under the assumption they're getting 1-year deals, no more than about $3 to $3.5 million of total value. Not contract value, but total value, just because we are up against the line. So, it limits who you can and can't sign. But yes, bigger body wide receiver, Noah Brown, very reliable, physical at the point of attack, physical at the point of catch. Not a super smooth route runner, if I'm being honest. Has very decent speed, but gives us that Nick Westbrook-Akine type body in the wide receiver room, which is something that we currently miss now after the draft, or maybe after cuts, and we get a little influx in money post once the June 1st money comes in. Maybe we can sign one or two that are kind of left floating around, but Noah Brown's really good.
Reminds me a bit of Mac Hollins. I think Mac Hollins is a little bit better player, but he's just, somebody who's going to come in occasionally and make a play, and you're going to be like, how come that guy doesn't get more playing time? And then he will get more playing time. And you'll be like, oh, that's why he.
That's why.
Get more playing time. I will say I wanted to just touch on the $3 to $4 million range. That's not a random range that Josh made up. That's actually like the Packers' MO when it comes to free agency, is that they don't sign guys for more than $4 million. Now, occasionally there's been obviously outliers. Obviously we signed Malik, right? But traditionally, we don't know if Sully's going to follow this to a T, but so far he has. And $4 million is kind of the cap they look at when they fill in the roster with free agents.
It also kind of fits what we can afford, if I'm being honest.
Well, yeah, and that's all we can afford.
Because we have like $130 million in total dead cap, which is just south of 50% of the total cap. So we are up against the budget.
Another one on the list is Buffalo Bill, Taylor Rapp at safety. He still probably thought he was going to have a bit of some better options out there, and he's still on the board, which I'm sure is a surprise to him. And this is where we start to see veterans sign cheaper contracts because they get a little desperate. To us, to them, $3 or $4 million is still $3 or $4 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, look, it's nothing to sneeze at. I think really Taylor Rapp, another player I was thinking about was Rayshawn Jenkins. Right, these are veteran, older safeties. I mean, again, 1-year deals. They're not long-term fixes at the position, but focusing on Taylor Rapp, for example, bringing him in where he is not a phenomenal athlete, he's not a huge production type player. What he does do is gives you the kind of veteran leadership in the room, because we are going to have younger safeties at some point, and we currently have one on the roster. And I always get the two mixed up. Is it who's our safety that we drafted last year? Trader. Thank you, Dante. And I think that's it, right? I think he's the only safety we have on the roster right now.
I think you're right, because
outside of the one,
we just signed one.
We signed Anderson. A couple, but
yeah,
I think Taylor Rapp can start. Not high quality, not high level, but sufficient level type starter. So something to think about. I could see a deal for him in the 1 year, $1.5 to $2 million range, for example.
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me with him is just he's solid, right?
Yeah.
He's not, like you said, not hugely athletic. He's not a huge playmaker, but he's a guy that you put back there. He's a leader. I think the reason he's still a free agent is because injuries have popped up. Now he's at late 20s. He's starting to get injured more often. The Bills ended up going and signing Geno Stone instead of bringing him back. So, now you're looking, now Taylor Rapp's like, what do I do now? And hey, come on down to Florida. You'll get to keep more of your vet minimum contract than you would up in New York.
Exactly.
We know that.
And you'll get playing time. How much? It depends on you, right?
Yeah. Next up on the list, and I'm sorry if we're moving through these quickly, guys, but these are tier probably 3 free agents at this point. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, but just names to look at. We would love to hear your names to look at, guys that you're looking at. Remember, just keep that cap situation in mind. You're capped out at $4 million for players. So go on over to Spot Track, take a look at the market value and assess who you like that falls, below that $4 million range. Next up on the list, surprising that he falls in this range, but also not because he's been kind of bouncing around a bit lately, and that's cornerback
Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson.
Yep. Yeah. Look, we know him as the athletic veteran corner, right? I think he's still at this stage of his career can offer, especially given the landscape that is our cornerback room. He can offer kind of that outside capability from a cornerback. He's not crazy, productive anymore, in my opinion. I don't think he's a long-term starter, but look at these guys. Like, we're in the range of the Rasul Douglases, the Josh Jones or Jack Jones. Who's our cornerback? Who's the other cornerback last year? Jack Jones?
Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas.
Yeah. Like, that's Adoree Jackson. I would put slightly above Jack Jones, slightly below Rasul Douglas.
Yeah.
Right. In that range.
Again,
who is still available, by the way.
With injury concerns at this point,
Yeah.
I think that's what we're looking at largely with the guys who are left.
Because who else is there? Jeff Okudah is another one that I was looking at.
Yeah, Rasul Douglas, Adoree Jackson, and Jeff Okudah were the three that you pinpointed. Yep.
Avonte Maddox is another one. All of these are in the 1 year, again, within that range, right? There are better players available still. We just can't afford them.
I mean, what's nice about Jackson, though, he's athletic. He kind of fits the mold of what Sully and Half are kind of looking for at the position without breaking the bank. His production has been kind of down towards the back half of his career, so we don't know what we would get out of him. But hey, man, somebody at the position is better than nobody at the position.
Exactly. I mean, look, couldn't have said it better myself.
Honestly, I'm going to jump around a little bit because I do think that this corner we had on the team last year would be a little bit. I would like to see him come back because I thought he had a magnificent second half of the season after he finally got caught up with the system that we were running and all that stuff. And that's Rasul Douglas, who has experience in the Jeff Hafley system already. I would love to see Rasul come back to the squad.
Yeah, I'm actually really shocked that he hasn't already. I mean, I know I don't know. I'm sure he's holding out to try to see if he can land a bigger contract because of
to be honest.
Right. I mean, look, to your point, he had a hell of a season at the end of the second half of the season. And that was, I feel like, because he came in so late, that first half of the season was him learning, understanding, learning the playbook, learning the players around him, building the trust, and so on and so forth. And then you saw the production, what he can still do. And I'm just really shocked that he wasn't one of the first, and maybe he was, but I was very shocked that he wasn't one of the first ones that we approached and said, hey, we want to bring you back. You're familiar with us. We're familiar with you. You put on really good, you put really good tape on last year. The only thing I can think of is that we did approach him and he's like, I'm looking for like a $6 million a year contract for the last big contract of my career. And we just can't afford that,
Yeah. And if we could, it's after post June 1st. Would that maybe the discussion too?
Very true.
Hey, Rasul, like if you don't find another spot to land, we can't really afford to sign you until after June 1st. So, stick around, stay in shape. Here's the playbook, by the way. You already know it. You were with the Packers for 4 years or something like that. 3 years, sorry. And he's just a productive player, man. I know like his 2 years with the Bills weren't that great, and a lot of people hold that against him because recency bias is just human nature. But second half of last year for us, learning a new system, coming in hot, like he played good enough. I mean, two interceptions and a sack in half a season. I think is pretty good, and I would love to see him get a full year under his belt with a system he's already familiar with.
Agreed 100%.
How about this name I'm familiar with? I'm not familiar with his production on the field, and that's Joe Tryon-Shoyinka.
Yep.
The edge rusher. We've signed a few edge rushers already. Ojabi, Uche, and
the other guy.
The other guy, Robert Beal Jr. What do you think about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka here?
Yeah, I really like him. Again, through the lens that we're talking about. I mean, he was drafted 32nd overall, if I'm not mistaken, in 2021. So still relatively young. I mean, been in the league 5 years, 6 years now.
26, man.
Yeah. Played in, and I'm looking at his kind of high level stats, played 82 career games with 45 starts, 160 total tackles, 15 sacks, 8 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles.
Yeah.
You know, 15 games in 2024, 24 tackles and 2 sacks, right? Again, none of this stuff jumps out, but as a rotational edge player, I think someone like Joe Tryon can come in and could possibly prove that he deserves a longer contract at the end of the season. Bring him in on a 1 year, prove it. And he's still young enough that where if he can string something together, he's the type of player where you could maybe offer him something in the 2 year range with the team option in year 3 or something like that. You know what I mean? To keep him around. Because again, first round draft pick, handful of years ago, still young, somewhat productive in limited space. So if he can reproduce that production, someone to think about.
Yeah, I mean, never more than 5 sacks in a season, so he doesn't have the production that would get him a big contract, which is why he's still there. I'm sure the Bucks are disappointed. Took him in the first round.
Yeah,
he could never get more than 5 sacks. Ends up getting cut. The Bears. He spent time with the Bears and the Browns last season. Kind of bounced around a little bit.
Yeah,
it's the exact type of project you want to see a good defensive coordinator get his hands on, and I just wonder if Hafley thinks he could fit that mold. He's 6'5", 260, a little bit bigger of a guy height wise than we have at the position right now. Not necessarily bulk wise, which I know Taylor's looking for somebody who's a little bit bulkier. Our boy Taylor over there, delusional Fins fan.
Well, and so is this team. I mean, if you look at Green Bay, it's bulky edge rushers. And another name I'll throw out, and I'm going to butcher, is I'm not even going to try.
You kind of have to because this is a podcast.
Okoro.
Ogbanya Okoronkwo?
Sure, let's go with that. Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
It's late, ladies and gentlemen.
But it's 9:00, guys.
Well, it's 9:00, but I've been up since fucking 4:00. I've been working all day, and I'm over 40. All right, it's an hour past my bedtime.
I just had to throw you under there.
That's fine. I'm not ashamed of it, man. Trust me. 5th round pick in 2018, 17 sacks, 4 forced fumbles over his career. 2024, he played in Cleveland, 16 games. He had 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Like, those are the kind of players, the Tryons, the Dwayne Smoots, this guy, like, those are the kind of players we could get now that we could afford, that could come in and be rotational type players, because I do think this defense is going to rotate quite a lot, more out of necessity than kind of scheme. So having quality, and air quotes, depth would go a long way.
Yeah, there's some interesting names I'm going to mention at the end here, and I'll probably plop them all together. But I think, actually, no, let's do it separate. So the linebackers that you have on here are interesting because they both played in recent years for the Miami Dolphins, and that's, Jerome Baker, who famously left to go to Seattle the same year that we famously picked up Jordan Brooks when he was cut by Seattle. Real swapperoo there.
Hey, I think that was a win.
And then Anthony Walker Jr., who was the little more athletic linebacker who played for us alongside Brooks before Dotson came over.
Yep.
Both guys who were on the free agency list for probably relatively cheap. I am not the biggest Baker fan, I'll be honest. I think Walker probably fits a little bit better in what they want to do, but love to get your thoughts on those two.
Yeah, I think of those two, I'm probably leaning towards Baker because we know what we get. There's ample film on what Baker can do. And he was at one point a relatively high productive linebacker in this league, in coverage specifically. He was running down the field with Gronk like it was his job, right? He was running down the field with wide receivers, slot wide receiver. I mean, the dude was fast. I don't know what has happened since, but what we need alongside of Jordan Brooks is a coverage linebacker. Because last year, when we talked about it on the show quite often, we were furious with Weaver because it was like, why are you dropping Brooks into coverage, deep into coverage, covering wide receivers and tight ends? Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. So I think Jerome Baker,
he was covering the wide receiver one infuriated me so much,
dude. I mean, like the first game of the season when he was covering the tight
against the
end.
Colts
Yeah.
he was trying to cover Pittman, and he was trying to cover Pierce. He was
No, who's their rookie tight? Who's the rookie tight end?
trying to cover Tyler Warren.
Yeah, Tyler Warren. Dude, Tyler Warren burned him like 6 times in a row. I mean, it was, and I couldn't be mad at him because he shouldn't be covering. So long-winded way of saying I think Jerome Baker type of linebacker to come in again, not to start, hopefully, but as good rotational kind of coverage depth at the linebacker position would be, something to look at.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't come back. I'm not a Jerome Baker fan. That's for sure. I'm not really a fan of either of these guys, but I understand if we did sign one of them because we need some guys at the position.
Yeah.
Hey man, 2 names you have on here that I think, or that we have on here that I think fans will probably be a little more familiar with, and the guys that I would love to talk a little bit more about. I'm a big fan of this man, speedy wide receiver. Most recently played for the Arizona Cardinals. Pretty good on kick returns. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Just signed a guy similar to him in Tutu Atwell, so I'm not sure if he would be an option, but I would still be open to it. And that's Greg Dortch, coming over from the Cardinals, man. I love his game. I don't know if they'll want another tiny receiver. If they do, bring him on in.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because between him and Tutu, I would take Tutu 7 days a week. Greg Dortch is, again, like you said, small. I think he was drafted out of Wake Forest. I'm waiting for his stats. There you go. His NFL stats, he's played 68 games and has 145 catches for 1,300 yards.
Wow.
In 68 games. I mean, the production is not there, and that's not all on him, right? I mean, there's only so much you can do with Kyler Murray as your quarterback. I don't know. Like, wouldn't be my first choice, but if he is signed, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, right now, I think the only viable wide receiver we have in that room is Jalen Waddle, and my fandom is putting this guy in there as Malik Washington, but Malik Washington really isn't a viable wide receiver at this point.
No, and I love him, but
of course, really, it's not a dig on him.
He hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity that he's gotten. That's for damn
and he's still young. This is year 3. He's going into year 3. I mean,
I'd like to see more Taj personally, but I think that's probably the end of the Taj era.
You think so? With Tutu and the other one we signed?
Yeah, new regime coming in. He was already a 7th round fringe player. He had a chance last year. Mike was trying to give him a shot, and he fumbled it on his first touch, and it's just like.
But right before that fumble, it was electric.
It was electric.
It was very Tyreek Hill-esque.
I think the last guy I kind of want to talk about, and then maybe if you have other guys you want to talk about, throw him in here. But this is a very familiar name. He plays at a position of need at safety, which of course we absolutely need. He brings physicality. He brings toughness. He brings attitude. The last one's a bit of a problem because he brings a little too much attitude. And that's Jabrill Peppers, man. Always been a big fan of his game. Of course, he's in the back half of his career now. Not the player he once was, but I think it would be fun to have him on the roster for a year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think you know what you get with him, and there's his body is Father Time is undefeated, and he is, to your point, in the latter part of his career. He's had a hell of a career. He's drafted in 20.
Father Time.
I know, what a bitch. Drafted 25th overall in 2017. So he's been around the block from an NFL standpoint. Ironically, still younger than me. So
no salt there at all.
But
we're the same age, by the way, so that means he's younger than me too.
But yeah, no, I think was 2025 he was with the Steelers, I think, last year. Appeared in 14 games, only had 10 total tackles, right? So the production is what the production is, but I think coming onto a team to be that veteran presence in the rooms and on the field, as long as you do not put him in situations where he is going to fail, aka coverage in deep, I think he could, provide some kind of production to a team that is devoid of talent at the secondary position. And I also think there's something to be said about bringing a player like him in to help mentor some of the young players, because we have a young safety in Dante. We have what I presume to be a young safety or two coming in via the draft at some point. So having somebody like him can also help tutor and kind of mentor the young guns in that room. So, maybe I wouldn't pay over $2 million. I don't know about you, on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to figure. I don't know if we'd be interested in him. He's on the shorter side, and we've talked a lot
Yeah.
about the size thing for the new regime. So,
Mhm.
5'11" safety, maybe they won't be interested in that. But listen, I mean, if the guy wants playing time, he'll get plenty of it here.
Sure will.
Only 10 tackles with the Steelers. That must have killed him. There's a super competitive person,
Mhm.
wants to be on the field. Uh, come on down to South Beach, man. If we want him, because he would have plenty of time to get on the field,
Mhm. At
assuming he
least
could
in the
stay
first
healthy.
half of the season until
Yeah,
the young guys kind of get up to speed and run, quite literally run past them.
yeah. Anybody else you wanted to mention? I know for those listening, if this list has bored you to death, it's okay. This is part of being a rebuild here. These are just names, and for you super fans who are listening now, the only people listening now are super fans. Let's be honest.
Pretty
These are
much.
just the names to look at on the free agent list, man. These are the guys available. This is the type of talent you're looking at
Mhm.
on the free agency list right now. I think Jeff Okudah, who you mentioned in passing before, is very interesting.
Yeah.
Former high first round pick, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly, of the Lions, who kind of got derailed by injuries. So
Yeah, the other name I'll just throw out there, we don't really need to talk much, is Jack Sanborn at linebacker. He's
mm,
more of the Brooks than he is the coverage. So, depending on what type of scheme we run more of, if we do run three down linemen and four linebackers, we need another middle linebacker that can help in run support. So if that is going to be the primary scheme that we run, I know Half likes to kind of do multiple stuff. So I could see somebody like Jack Sanborn, still young, on the younger side in air quotes. 54 career games, just under 200 tackles, 6 pass defended, a couple interceptions. Like, he can be another good rotational type linebacker in the middle of the field for the Dolphins.
yeah, I think another position we haven't talked about yet that I would love to see us sign more of is tight end. I mean, we just have Dolchik at this point. I don't know if the new coaching staff will be interested in bringing Darren Waller back. I know he said that Mike McDaniel was, and I'm surprised he hasn't signed with the Chargers yet.
Chargers.
But I would love to see a guy with some gravitas come in, just some name value. It doesn't need to be like anything huge, but if Jonu's still there after June 1st, would he be interested in coming
Mhm.
back? I don't think Njoku will ever be in our price range, but that would be pretty freaking
No.
cool.
You know who
Uh,
could be really cool is hold on, I'm blanking on his name. It was a tight end out of Chicago, or is it Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay.
I don't see anybody out of Tampa on the list here.
Hold on a second. Kate Otten.
He's just signed with Tampa again.
Oh, he re-signed?
He re-signed, yeah.
Shit. All right, never mind.
Yeah. Names that I'm looking at: Will Disley. I mean, they're not going to be crazy good, but Ian Thomas, right? He was super athletic. Uh, let's see, Harrison Bryant, big dude, only 28 years old by the time the season starts.
Mhm.
Donald Parham made a little bit of a name for himself at one point.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so these are just like cheap options that are available at the tight end position. I would love to just see one more of them get signed.
Yeah, I mean, Taysom Hill's available if you're interested.
Yeah, I skipped over him on purpose.
Possibly somebody to look at, super old guy, right? So this would legitimately be a 1-year thing, but
I know who's
de-
coming.
depending on how he recovers, maybe Zach Ertz. I
Yeah,
mean, he
I
coming
love
off of,
Zach Ertz, dude.
so do I. But after that, I mean,
Like,
Pharaoh
hey
Brown
Zach, you want to make $3 million this year to hang out in South Beach
in
for
South Beach.
18 weeks?
Hey, we can bring back Mercedes. We can bring in Mercedes Lewis.
He's only 42.
Let's see if fuck he is.
It's insane.
That's fun.
That's insane.
Honestly, Donald Parham's not a bad pull, dude. I mean, again,
Yeah, I think he kind
right?
of got like ousted in Pittsburgh because he was
Mhm.
in Pittsburgh. He's a nice second, third option there. Then they ended up bringing Jonnu in, and so then it was Freiermuth and Jonnu as the 1-2, and then they had the Washington kid who they're trying to grow as number 3, and Parham just kind of ended up
Yeah.
getting thrown by the wayside.
Yep.
I think he's athletic enough that he can at least add some value to your offense.
Yeah. I mean, Mercedes Lewis is 42. Right? Jesus.
We finally found somebody older than us on the free agency list.
There it is. There it is, folks.
Got him. Yes. All right, dude. I think that's all we need to talk about. Listen, the list is not impressive, but we will need some of these guys to help fill the roster. We're going to have a ton of undrafted free agent signings. I can just see it now.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that list is going to be hard to keep up with because the NFL doesn't really report that list very well. But yeah, we're pumped for the draft. Now that we're kind of at the backside of free agency, we're gonna do some roster resets next week.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about what the offense looks like now, what the defense looks like now, and then we get into our draft shows. Lots of mock drafts, lots of positional analysis,
The fun stuff.
Yeah, and then just a month and 7 days away, so 5 weeks. 5 weeks away is the NFL draft. It's gonna come fast. Can't wait for it.
Can't wait.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. In this episode, we talked about free agency wave 2 targets that we would like to see Miami consider. Again, the names were not impressive, but you got to sign somebody, right?
Yes.
We need people on the field.
Yeah.
Come September and August. August, I guess.
Again, this show, if you're still listening, you are a diehard fan and we appreciate you.
I love you so much if you're still listening to the show.
I don't even want to be listening to the
Hi,
show.
Jorge.
I'm doing the show. Right.
Jorge's the only one. What's up, Jorge?
Taylor.
How you doing, bud? Yeah, but that'll do it for today's show. Check out the 305gridiron.com. Head on over there for mock drafts, big board, transactions list. We will have the draft results up there too as it happens. Currently, this is kind of a blank page because we'll have nothing to report on that. And we're at 163 subscribers now. Thank you all so much. We're trying to get to 250 by August 11th. So the more of you hit that subscribe button, the better our chances of getting there. So appreciate that. That'll do it for the 305 Gridiron this evening. For Josh, a.k.a. Aqua Ace over here to my left, I'm Anthony Pinzone. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, fins out, baby.